right, Integrated Math 2, your first lesson in continuous learning starts today with 7.1 ratio and proportions. First off, there is some bell work, but I just want to go over a quick reminder of how to solve for variable multi-step equations. It's going to be used, so we need to make sure we have that down. So number one says we need to solve for x. Well, we have 4x plus 3 equals 15. I need to subtract 3 from both sides. This allows me to say that 4x equals 12. 4 times x, so I needed to use division to get rid of it. And we know x has to equal 12 divided by 4 is 3. So remember to use multi-step equations to solve for variables. Same thing for number 2. We're going to be solving for y. So we have 15y plus 4 equals 3y plus 28. I want to move my y's to one side and my numbers to another. I like positive y's. So I'm going to move my 3y by subtracting it. I'll get 12y plus 4 equal to 28. I want to move my numbers over, so I'm going to subtract 4. I'll get 12y equal to 24. And my last step again, 12 times y means I need to divide by 12. 24 divided by 12 is 2. So that was just a quick reminder. This will be review problems on your homework. So make sure you are able to solve for your variables. Please and thank you. All right. So getting into ratios and proportions, we first need to understand, well, how are ratios, proportions, and scale factors related? So we need to figure out the relation. So the ratio of A to B is an indication of A over B, or A to B. Well, there's 2 ways to write it. This says there are 3. So the 3 ways to write ratios, specifically of A to B, is we have our A divided by B, our A colon of B, and our A to B. So we can indicate it with the word to. So there's multiple ways that we can write them. So we're going to use this quick example photo of the Full House cast. Many of you probably have not seen this show. If you have not seen this show, this is a dude, this is a dude, this is a dude, this is a dude, and this is a dude. The rest are females, and then there's a dog. So we want to know the ratio of the dog to people. Well, how many dogs are there? There is 1. And we can indicate that to people, we can either do 1 divided by people, 1 colon of people, or 1 2 of people. I'm just going to do a colon. It's pretty simple. So 1 2, the amount of people. So we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So our ratio is 1 to 10. There is 1 dog for every 10 people. The next is the ratio of children to adults. Well, children, there are 1 2 3 4 5 6. So there are 6 children. So we have 6 children to 1 2 3 4 adults. Ratio of children is 6 to 4. Well, 6 and 4 have a greatest common factor of 2. So we're going to simplify this to be 3 to 2. So for every 3 children, there are 2 adults. So ratios are very important for that. The next ratio is from female to males. So in this indication, we have 1 2 3 4 5 females and 1 2 3 4 5 males. Well, this is 5 to 5. Since these are both the same number, we should simplify that. That means this is going to be a 1-to-1 ratio. Ratios just state if you can find a certain amount of number for an item to another number of another item and or person, thing, or place, and you say 1 to the other, that is your ratio. Remember, this could have been written as 1 over 10, 3 over 2 or 1 over 1, which is the same thing as 1. So again, ratios can be written in many ways. Make sure, though, that you stick to one and you remember it. And thank you. Okay. Our next indication is a proportion. A proportion is where two ratios, so where two ratios, or the way we write them potentially, fractions, are equal. So proportions are just saying that the ratios are equal to each other. We can set them equal to each other. And to solve the proportion, we're going to cross multiply. So we are going to cross multiply. So what I would like for you to do is follow along with me for A on example 2. If you feel confident, press the pause button, go forward on yourself. If not, follow along with me as we go through each problem. So our first problem says 4 over x equals 5 over 7. We have a ratio of 4 over x and another ratio of 5 over 7. This is a proportion, so we know we can solve it because they're equal to each other. So what we're going to do is cross multiply. Cross multiply says I'm going to take the numerator of one ratio and multiply it by the denominator of another. So I'm going to take 4 times 7. And then we're going to set it equal to the numerator of the opposite one we said numerator to, and multiply it by the denominator of the other as well. So 5 times x. Okay? So now we can solve. So we have 4 times 7, which is 28, and it's going to equal 5x. How do I get x by itself? Divide by 5. So x is going to equal 28 divided by 5. You can leave it in fraction form. It is okay. You do not have to give me in decimals. If you give me in decimals, please make sure you approximate. But you do not need to give it to me in decimals. All right. Based off of the first one, again, if you feel confident, go ahead and press that pause button. If not, please follow along. For B, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to say we're going to take our numerator and we're going to multiply it by our denominator of the opposite. So we're going to get 3 times y. And it's going to equal numerator times the denominator we haven't used, 2 times y plus 2. Remember, if you're multiplying anything with a plus or addition, it needs to go in parentheses. This indicates that we're going to distribute that 2 to everything. So we're going to get 3y equal to 2y plus 4. Make sure you distribute to every single thing. That's why if there's a plus or a minus, you put parentheses around it. Now we're going to solve for y. I'm going to move y to one side and see what happens. So I'm going to move the minus 2y so they cancel, and then I'm going to get y equal to 4. Well, no more simplification is involved. Therefore, y equals 4. If you have any questions, please make sure to come and see me during our Zoom meeting on Monday. If not, feel free to email at any time. So we're going to do C and D. If you feel confident, please make sure you pause and try to do it by yourself. This is great practice for you and your homework. So what we're going to do here, same thing. Numerator times your denominator. We're going to get 5 times x equal to numerator times denominator. 4 times x plus 3. Because it had a plus, I needed to put it in parentheses. Okay? So in parentheses, we distribute that 4 to everything. So we're going to get 5x equal to 4x plus 12. Subtract 4x over to both sides because I want x's on one side of the equation. And we're going to get x equals 12. Our last one for proportions. We take the numerator times the denominator. So our numerator is 3x minus 8, so it needs to go in parentheses.
and it's gonna be multiplied by 10. It's then going to equal our 2x times our 6. Okay? This means we distribute the 10, so we get 10 times 3x is 30x, 10 times 8 is 80, and it's gonna equal a 2x times 6, which is 12x. Now that we've gotten that, I want x's on one side and numbers on the other. There are two ways to do this. Since I have x number and an x, I'm actually gonna move my x's over here. So I'm gonna subtract 30x, and I'm gonna get negative 80 equal to negative 18x. Okay. Now that I've done that, I want my x's by itself. So I'm gonna divide by negative 18 on both sides. So negatives will cancel, so this becomes a plus. 80 over 18 is not immediately pretty. If you give it to me in decimal form, make sure you approximate. If not, you can see that 80 and 18 both have a factor of 2. So we're going to take 80, we're going to divide it by 2, and we get 40. We're going to take 18, divide by 2, we're going to get 9. 40 and 9 do not have any other factors in common, so your answer is 40 over 9. Again, you can give me an approximate. I do accept decimals, but it is not needed. If you have any other questions, please make sure to email me at any time.